Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is basically all the palettes I've fully used since the start of the year. So for the first quarter, January, February and March, I'm doing no pan left behind. These are all the palettes that I've hit my no pan left behind goal on for the start of the year pretty much. So let's get into January, February and March. I'll tell you the totals of everything at the end. We have 77 palettes in my collection, so let's start with January. So the first palette I hit all of the uses on is my Pan palette, and that is the Laura Lee and Violet Voss. This is my oldest palette in my collection. I got this in, I think it's February 2017. I'll correct myself on the screen if I'm wrong. I think the formula in this Violet Voss palette is absolutely stunning. Stunning. There is 20 shades in this palette and I love it. I really do like it. So that's the first one and I loved it, and that is in January. The second palette I used all the shades of was my Pan in Every palette in January. This is the Huda Beauty Warm Brown Obsessions. I got this 25th of December 2018 from Porrick. Basically got it for Christmas from Porrick. I've hit 2 pans in this year. I'm still working on this palette for this shade. The goal shade I was trying to hit pan on this shade and I ended up hitting pan on those 2 shades. This palette isn't as good as the other Huda Beauty palettes because these 2 shades that I hit pan in are incredibly patchy. They work really well for a liner. They work well for underneath the lash line, but if you try and put it in your outer V, it's incredibly hard to blend it because it is incredibly patchy. That is not because it's older. That is the way that it has always been. But the other shades are perfect. Perfect. People have said that the pans in this are very shallow and they hit pan quickly. I've used this palette a good bit outside of this project, or the project that I was in, and particularly this shade over here, I use it 17 times in the project and no, not even a dip. But these other 2 I hit pan very quickly, and so I don't know why it takes me so long, but that's the second one. The third one is a new palette in 2022 to my collection, and it is the Natasha Denona Mini Love palette. There's 5 shades in it. I really like this. I think it's really something just so beautiful. It's so beautiful. Look at that. Look, oh, it's the third shade, third palette I hit pan and everything. This shade is gorgeous. This duochrome shade, they're all beautiful. I use this matte shade. I use this palette a load of times as well. And I would happily leave it out on my desk, except I'm trying to no pan left behind 77 eyeshadow palettes. But gosh, this is stunning. I really like it. I think it was 25 euros, which I know people are like, oh, that's very expensive, but it is. But the Charlotte Tilbury quad is 50 quid. This has 5 shades in it. So I mentally am happier with this. I much prefer this. So that's my third one and I loved it. It is the Natasha Denona Glam Face palette, and I used all of the shades in here in January as well, including the face products. This is new to my collection as well. It's beautiful. I love it. I love it. This cream blush is kind of like a cream to powder. It's not like the Bloom Blush and Glow blush, but it is a very similar formula to the one in the Love Duo. It's very nice. I really love it. It's really easy to use. All the shades work perfectly on me. So I don't know if I'm blinding you with this mirror, but the highlighter is stunning, the blush is stunning, and these shades are stunning. And when I go on holidays, I think that this is going to be the palette that I bring. Natasha Denona personally is I think it's my favorite formula. But that's the 4th palette that I hit all of the shades in January. So I hit 4 palettes in January. 2 of them were my newest and 2 of them were my oldest. Then on to February. The first one was the Nars Orgasm X that I got from Christine Ann. Thank you so much to Christine Ann. And there was 4 shades in here. I've used all of the shades. This is my only Nars palette. The formula in here is really nice. The mattes are very nice. I wasn't expecting that. But there's only one matte, but it's very nice. I used it a good few times. I think it's really gorgeous. Really lovely. I don't know how much this is. I'd be terrified to find out how much this is, but it's so sleek and compact, and I used all the shades and I like it. This is the Revolution XXposed palette, Revolution Pro. XX Revolution XXposed, the quad. This is a dupe for the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk, and I think this is one is better. I have both now. This is the satin shade. I used all 4 shades in here. This is similar-ish to a Super Shock. I really like this. There's a mirror on it and everything. When did I get this? Was it in 2021? I think it was in 2021. I think this is really, really nice, and I've used all of the shades in here, and it's a quad and it's beautiful. That's 8 shades. This one I got from Elaine. This is the KVD Alchemist palette. I think I'm at 80 uses for this palette. I leave this out because I use it so much. It's one of my favorite palettes in my collection because I use it so much. You look at it and it's so inconspicuous. There is a duochrome green, purple, blue and pink. I have pan in the pink shade. I think it took me like 60 or 70 uses to hit the pan, just to hit the pan. And I have a dip in this green one, and I leave this out at all times because I use it pretty much every day since I got it from Elaine. I think it's absolutely fabulous. Anytime I'm doing a look with any of these colours, I use this on the brow bone or inner corner highlight because it's not too intense for the brow. I don't like a really intense brow bone, and it is fabulous. So it's just one that I use all the time, and there's 5 shades in here, and now that's that. And then the 4th palette for February, so I used 4 in January, 4 in February, was the Natasha Denona Retro palette, and I purchased this one also in 2022. I know, guys, I know. But I bought this because 1, I wanted it, but 2, it was in every single person's favorites of 2021. And I think it's a very mature everyday palette. Like a very fancy everyday palette. It is a mauve. It's gorgeous. I freaking love it. There is cream to powders in here that are crease shades, which is an unusual experience for me, but it was beautiful and I really, really loved it. There is 5, 10, 15 shades in here. I love all the shades in here, and I would love to leave this out and keep using it non-stop. So as soon as I hit my goal, which might not be this year, but as soon as I do, I'm rejigging my goals to be allowed to use what I want. So that's 4 for January, 4 for February, and now we're on to March. I wore makeup 30 days in March. Today is the 30th, tomorrow is the 31st. The first one that I used fully was the Nikkie Tutorials and BeautyBay palette, and I actually hit pan this month, or like this year, accidentally bonus pan up here. There is meant to be 20 shades in here, but I have 3 of them gone out of it, so there's 17 shades. Sorry, this is very difficult to hold. 17 shades. I now have 2 pans in this palette. Since I removed the 3 shades I don't like that were giving me trouble, I love this palette. I've used that pink shade up there quite a lot and there's no pan in it, but that's fine. This is another palette that actually stays out on my desk, so that's saying something. That can go back here. The second palette, this in my collection I have down as a palette, so this I got from Christine Ann as well. It's a melt stack, but it's like fused together. There's the shade Rust, there's Unseen, and there's Ganja. The Haze stack, the Rust stack, and Dark Matter stack, like mixed together. This deep matte brown, this lighter brown, the mattes are gorgeous, and yes. Yes. So there's only 3 shades here, but it's down as a palette on my list. Anything that's more than a duo, I don't own a duo, is a palette for me. But I love it. I love it. It's gorgeous. Thank you, Christine Ann, so much. What's next? My pan in every palette, I used every shade in. Sultry palette from ABH. This palette is gorgeous. I love this palette. My God, I love this palette. It's so beautiful. Rose gold used to be my favorite shade, but now Cinder is stunning. Like if you put this cool tone twig, no, if you put this warmery-ish tone birch puffed out in the crease and then with a hooded eye, and then this, which wouldn't make sense in my mind, but I did put this all out in the crease, this inside the, sorry, this in the transition, this in the creased twig, and then Cinder on the lid. It's just so crazy how much I like this. 14 shades in here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 14 shades in here. And I think she's an absolute babe. And I love her. The next one is the Juicy Olive from Give Me Glow. This is heavy. It is expensive. There are 6 shades in here. But the formula from Give Me Glow is just beautiful. It's just so beautiful. There's a little bit of disruption now in the shade Vodkatini, which makes it like, I've used it a bit, so it should show that I've used it. I think this is beautiful. I used this for St. Patrick's Day. I think it's just It's just beautiful. I just love my collection right now. I just love what I have. I'm always like, oh, I need to have less, blah, 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 blah. But I love what I have now. Eyeshadows are my boldest part of my collection. And I just love it. I just love it. That won't always be the case because there's stuff coming in the pipeline. So I'm enjoying it. Not that I won't love it. I won't be able to buy very shortly as much as I would have in the past. So it's okay. That's how I'm saying it to myself. The final palette for the month of March, so I use 5 in March, is the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk. And I got this in March as part of a kit. So kind of this palette was kind of free because the whole kit was reduced by 20%. So this palette was more or less free. It is the Pillow Talk, which is a dupe, or like not a dupe. These two are meant to be dupes for one another, the XX Revolution and the Charlotte Tilbury, and I prefer the XX Revolution. I do think the mattes in here are, I think it's lovely. I just think 50 euros is way too much, in my opinion. Like, what does it matter what I think, but just, I wouldn't have bought this if it wasn't part of the kit, but it just happened to be part of that kit. But I would use all the shades because I will like all the shades. It's just that I think it's way too much. But it's stunning. It is stunning. It is soft. It's very, very soft. But I could achieve that soft look with something far cheaper. But it is a nice experience. It is nice packaging. So that means that I have used fully 13, let me just confirm. Yeah, 13 palettes out of 77 so far. If I don't increase from 77, but 13 is where we are at. 4 in January, 4 in February, and 5 in March, and I'm so happy with that because I'm still panning eyeshadows and I'm meeting goals on those whilst using my collection, which is the goal for me, is to pan because I enjoy panning and playing because I enjoy playing. However, in saying that, I'm not playing as authentically as I would like, but I'm playing a lot more than I would normally because I would have liked to have kept, out of everything I showed you, a Sultry is still out. These 3 are ones I would like to have played with for longer, you know, but I loved it. So I hope that you enjoyed this. If you want me to do it after the next 3 months, let me know. But I just said I'd like to keep track of it even for myself. So thank you much for watching and I'll see you the next time. Take care. Bye.